This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
Previously on Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels.
Hey, this is Chris Salton
and Joe Tavano
from Brews and Blasters. You're listening to Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels with Dennis and Darth Taxus.
The opposition, or as I like to call them, openposition, is strong and cunning. But as you listen to his most likely rational arguments and soothsaying, remember that I'm 40. I'm a man. Also, think of this little nursery rhyme. Open a pack, break your mother's back. I ask you, scoundrels, to remember that through this all, Joe wants to break yo mama's back. Why, Joe? Why?
You know, it felt right. It felt good to set them free.
Is there anything that you've got sitting in a package that you're dying to open, but you just can't bring yourself to do it?
Oh, does he? So, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
this is going to be fun. It's going to be huge. It's going to be not just RetroZap, but literally every show on RetroZap. It's going to be the big meetup, the Brews and Blasters meetup, the S Cube meetup. I mean, we're talking everything. We're all going to be meeting up on day one, Thursday, April 13th, 7 p.m. at David's Club Bar and Grill at the Hilton Orlando. It's right next to the convention center. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a great time. It's free. It's 100% free. You don't need to pay to get in at all. So, you know, come hang out with us. It's going all night. If you're going somewhere else, come over for the after party. We're still going to be there. It's a little surprise.
It's karaoke, isn't it?
No.
We're going to have a dance in Ula.
There we go.
Ooh.
We're not, but
don't bring the wipes.
Jeez. Oh, wives they're invited. They're invited. Oh my! The whiskey's getting to Chris, I think.
Whiskey.
Alrighty then. Well, that sounds like a blast. I'm looking forward to that. That's in my top 5.
Hello, Scoundrels. This is Jonah Marie Macias of thewookiegunner.com, and you're listening to Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels.
Bendu saw something there, some sort of a weakness for Thrawn, and that, you know, he was speaking perhaps metaphorically about what was going to happen to Thrawn.
But it was very Roman-like to me, like Caesar and being stabbed on the back, sort of a way.
Yeah.
You know, the Ides of March and whatnot. So I got that vibe off of it.
It could be a Wampa swinger party.
Good Lord.
Well, I mean, that'd probably end up killing anyone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think maybe he gets locked in a mannequin freezer.
Or carbon freezing.
Oh.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. It's like somebody tackles him. Yeah, or a bunch of people tackle him.
That may be the inside of the episode right there.
Hey, this is Dennis Keithley and
Oppo Rancisis.
Yeah, from Starship, Sabers, and Scoundrels. You're listening to Brews and Blasters with Joe Tavano
and Chris Salton.
How is this not gone viral? Scoundrels, it is the week of Star Wars Celebration Orlando. We're excited, and here is what is in store for this week's show. What started as a slow news week ended up having some significant stories. We'll address reports of Princess Leia's involvement in Episode 9 and this week's news. The panels are set. The guests have been announced. All eyes are on Florida as Celebration Orlando is about to kick off. We'll cover the latest announcements and our plans in our Star Wars Celebration segment. Speaking of conventions, we soaked up some fandom fun and Star Wars goodness at Fan Expo Dallas. Taxus and I will share our highlights in this week's hypothetical. Taxus has had to work extra hard this week. The email and social media response to the show has been huge. He'll do his best to quiet it all and silence fools. Let's get this started. Thanks for joining us for episode 26 of Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels.
It's almost time for hunting season.
Isn't that more of an autumn thing?
Not for this one.
Well, looks like the only thing in season right now is rabbit and gator. That's an odd combination.
Yeah, especially the jackgator.
What's a jackgator?
It's like a hairy alligator with long ears and a fluffy tail. But nope, this is the time of year when things start to heat up for a special breed of hunters. Collectors.
Oh, yeah. It seems like conventions are happening more and more all the time.
Yep. Figures, pictures, autographs, panels, and speed dating were in abundance at Fan Expo Dallas. I was overwhelmed by everything available, no matter what one's preferred prey is.
Stop making it creepy.
Can't be helped. After the show, I got a really special autograph.
Ah, did you run into a celebrity?
No, Officer Williams of the police department.
Was this a fundraiser?
Sort of. I got something called a parking ticket. I'm thinking about starting a collection.
I'd like to see how far you get with that.
I'm kind of a completist. But anyway, you're going to the big safari.
Yes, indeed. Star Wars Celebration Orlando is this week.
It sure is. What do you plan to do there?
Oh, you know, panels, autographs, podcasting stage, the works.
That's nice and all, but I think you need to catch the big game.
What's that?
The new Battlefront. Can you grab me a copy? Welcome back, sweet scoundrels. You've made it to the show that is at the end of a long line of sold-out A-list podcasts, which is fine because you don't want to go home empty-handed. I'm your co-host and dark-sided event coordinator, Darth Taxus, coming to you from the convention center of Ballroom C4 of my flagship, the Assessor Collector. And with me, at least until he boards that jet plane for Orlando, is the guy who had to explain to me the difference between con artists and artists at a con, and co-host, Dennis the Phantom Menace Keithley. Dennis?
Hey, Taxus, thanks for the welcome. And hello, Scoundrels. And for any new listeners, welcome to Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels. We're honored that you could join us. Before we get started with everything, I'd like to remind everyone that Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels is an official supporter of Star Wars Celebration Orlando. We've been talking about Celebration for months now, and it's finally upon us. Mm-hmm. In fact, it's this week from April 13th through 17th at the Orange County Convention Center. Get your tickets at StarWarsCelebration.com. They will sell out. 4-day tickets are gone, and Saturday tickets are recently sold out too.
Yeah.
I hope to see you there.
Yeah, there's still fun stuff to do on Thursday and Sunday.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, let's get to the news. All right. Originally, we weren't going to include a news section in this episode because there hadn't been any news. It seemed as if all the announcements were being saved for Celebration. However, at the end of the week, the news gates opened a little. So, Taxus, get us started.
Okay. Well, many Star Wars fans are no doubt aware of bad lip reading. The YouTube content creators take movies and other entertainment and then overdub their own lines. Recently, they created such viral hits such as Bushes of Love, featuring old Ben singing to Luke about a chicken duck woman thing that ripped off Luke's father's face and waits for them all in the bushes of love. Trust us, is more hilarious than it sounds, no matter how awesome I'm making it right now. Bad lip reading is back with a 6-minute spoof of The Force Awakens. What makes this spoof remarkable is that it features Mark Hamill. He finally has lines in The Force Awakens. However, he's playing Han Solo. And by the way, I'd like to dare bad lip reading to take what I just did and make something else of it.
Yeah, with all the absent video there, too.
Well, you know.
Yeah, so I don't know that we want to go into too much detail about this other than to make the recommendation, but can you vaguely say what your favorite part was?
I think Chewie.
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah, it goes, hey!
Yeah. I liked Akbar.
Oh, the Akbar is good. Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Such a great scene. Now, one of the things that really, you sent that to me the other day, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is cool. All right, you know. And I guess you sent it to me the night before I woke up and I saw it. Well, when I read the article about it, it said, oh, this content has been pooled. So apparently there was some sort of confusion. Somebody claimed that something had gone on, or they had filed one of those YouTube, you know.
Yeah, it was a takedown notice, but it didn't last. It was turned out to be bogus, so it was back up not too much longer after that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, it's worth time and effort. Recommend everybody
Absolutely.
goes and watch it.
All right. Well, speaking of Mark Hamill, he and Carrie Fisher will be inducted as Disney Legends at the Disney Legends Awards ceremony this July at the D23 Fan Expo. Bob Iger has described this honor as follows. The Disney Legends Award is the highest honor a company can bestow on an individual, reserved for those few who have truly made an incredible mark on the history of the Walt Disney Company. It's a celebration of talent, a recognition of achievement, and the expression of gratitude to men and women whose work has significantly contributed to Disney's enduring reputation for creative excellence. So that's cool.
Yeah.
They've really embraced Star Wars and into the Disney family since the acquisition a few years ago. At the last D23 event, I guess that was a couple years ago, 2015, right after Celebration, George Lucas was inducted as a D23 legend. So, they're bringing these people in. It's an interesting thing. You kind of have to get past the whole notion that what they did for Disney was technically, while it was just Lucasfilm, right? It wasn't a part of the overall Mouse family. Yeah. So, but good for Mark, and too bad Carrie is not going to be able to, of course, be there in person. But it's a nice posthumous. How do you say that? Thank you. No honor for her.
Yes, I've given lots of people that. The thing is, their personalities, who they are, really, I think, made Star Wars what it was. I mean, we've discussed this before, right? I mean, if it was anybody else, would it have come across and been so well received? And I'm not sure it would have, but I think it's really strange too how that one Muppets episode kind of had a Disney prophecy.
Oh yeah,
at the end of it. Yeah, and it's glad to see that now the circle is complete. Yeah,
that's right.
So next up, General Leia Organa may be in Episode 9. What? The New York Daily News revealed that Todd Fisher and Billy Lord, Carrie's brother and daughter respectively, gave Lucasfilm permission to include Fisher in Episode 9 via the use of previously shot footage. It is understood that no CGI will be involved. The New York Daily News learned this from Todd himself. However, there has been no announcement from Lucasfilm at this point, so plans can change. I was kind of shocked to see this myself. I thought I was going to read the article and find out that they had done like a reorganization of the scenes to where they could take Episode 8 parts and maybe split them out into Episode 9, kind of rearrange the story,
That was my thought as well, that somehow through reshoots this summer that they would just be kind of altering 8 some to save some of Fisher's scenes for Episode 9. But then Iger has come out and said that they weren't doing that at all, that her performance in 8 isn't going to be altered in any way. So I don't know exactly what this means. Maybe they changed their mind. But I wonder how much extra footage could you really have, and how would that make sense? Because you would think it would just be Episode 8, Last Jedi specific type scene things. So I don't. Hey, but I'm glad to hear that they figured out some sort of way to include her in Episode 9. I'm glad they're not doing the CGI thing. It's just too soon.
Yeah.
So I think this is for the best.
Not to get too inside baseball, but I'm remember how I said I'm always kind of fascinated by the behind the scenes things to some of these stories. And I just wonder, let's say that Carrie had signed a contract to do the 3 movies, right? And unfortunately now, her estate is now her person to a certain extent, right? I wonder how that contract like supersedes, you know what I mean? Her passing. Like, does the estate have some sort of requirement to fulfill the terms of that contract in some, if it's possible to do so,
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's not my area of expertise. I've never practiced in any type of entertainment law or anything, but I can't imagine that up until recently, this thought of being able to digitally recreate an actor in order to fill a contract became a legitimate concern for films. I mean, these studios usually just take out insurance to cover whatever it is they need to do if they lose a star during shooting, which I know they did here. That was a big story back in January that Lucasfilm was going to collect on a contract for her, and that's just standard practice for movies. Right. So contracts typically do not survive the death of one of the parties. Unless it's for something like the sale of a specific piece of land or something like that. But, don't take that as legal advice. It's these types of things change from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So I suspect that this was something that had to be, to in some extent had to be negotiated with the family, with her estate.
Yeah.
Since she was no longer around. But yeah.
It's interesting. Now, Scoundrels, you can use that to get out of jury duty.
Wouldn't recommend it. Okay. All right. Last item we have here. This is kind of a biggie. Mm-hmm. In the middle of last week, Del Rey began teasing a new book with the hashtag Operation Blue Milk. Mm-hmm. In addition, numerous authors began associating themselves with this book, and the hype grew. At the end of the week, Del Rey announced that Operation Blue Milk was a new Star Wars collaboration celebrating 4 years of Star Wars by telling the stories of 40 background characters from A New Hope, as written by, you guessed it, 40 authors. So, and there's some big ones here. I'm not going to list them all, but here's some of the authors that have been announced. We have Tom Engelberg, who did Origami Yoda, Alexander Freed, who did Battlefront Twilight Company and the Rogue One novelization, Jason Fry, who's done Weapon of a Jedi and The Servants of the Empire, John Jackson Miller, who did Kenobi and A New Dawn, E.K. Johnson and Ashley Eckstein, who wrote Ahsoka, Chuck Wendig, of course, did the Aftermath trilogy, Gary Whitta, who's a Rogue One writer, Christy Golden from Dark Disciple, and Paul Kemp, Lords of the Sith. Now, there's still some other authors to be announced, but there's some key ones that have not been named yet, such as James Luceno, Claudia Gray, and Timothy Zahn. So I'm hoping that they get involved in this as well. In addition to all this, the authors involved have agreed to forego their compensation, and instead the proceeds will be donated to First Book, which is a nonprofit that delivers books and learning materials to children in need. So this is pretty outstanding. This is a really cool move by all these authors. I know some people were disappointed because they wanted a new novel or whatever, but come on, this is a nice charity event. It's not like it's taking away from any one author writing some other novel. So I'm eager to see this. I can't wait to see what they come up with. I mean, 40 characters from A New Hope, that's like a lot of background characters to throw in there.
Well, and I think what this is doing is it's maybe giving a little answer to everybody saying, oh, are we going to have spin-off stories that are explaining all the detailed backgrounds to everybody in the movies? It looks like this book's going to kind of do that. Give us some little fun tidbits,
Except for, it reminded me a bit of the Tales series from Legends, Tales from the Cantina, Tales from Jabba's Palace and such. Mm-hmm. But, 40 authors in a single book. It's not like any one of these can be 30 pages a piece. These are going to have to be shorter stories. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know that you're really going to get a detailed background of any one particular character. You're probably going to get some sort of a snippet that ties right into a scene. And I can't imagine that they would have too much room to go too deep into these things.
It's more of a collection of short stories. It's almost like one of those sci-fi compendiums with different authors. And so, I was really excited when I saw John Jackson Miller tweet that he was involved with this. Right. He's one of my favorites. I'm not going to lie. And, I immediately really, really took notice because at first I was like, okay, Operation Blue Milk, because it's sort of like leading up to The Force Awakens, with a whole bunch of different books and everything. But I saw he was involved and it made me happy because it's been 2 years since we've had a novel by him for Star Wars. Right. Yeah, I'm excited for him to return to Star Wars. I enjoyed both Kenobi and A New Dawn, so I want to see him. I want to see him get back and get involved in this again. And like I said earlier, I really hope that Lucena, Gray, and Zahn all get involved in this as well. I thought I saw that Salman Rushdie was involved with it too.
Wonderful.
He hasn't really been seen from since he wrote the Sithanic verses.
Okay. Well, that's a look at recent news. For more on these stories and others, we recommend Jedi News or Courtney Martin's Week in Geek on RetroZap. Okay, Scoundrels, Star Wars Celebration Orlando is this week. Most of the announcements are already out there and have been for some time. But here are a few last items we want to spotlight heading into the big event. So, Taxus, take it away.
All right. Well, Celebration is streaming. As with the prior two celebrations, Star Wars Celebration Orlando will be streaming live. Brought to you by Verizon, the Star Wars Show Live will stream from April 13th through April 16th. The hosts will be the Star Wars Show's Andy Gutierrez and Anthony Carboni. Celebrity guests, featured panels, and other interviews will all be part of more than 30 hours of coverage from Celebration. So yeah, I guess I need to go ahead and, own up to the good scoundrel out there. I'm excited about the streaming because I've had a severe conflict, and unfortunately, only the light side will be represented from Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels at Celebration Orlando this year. So, but I'll be here watching all the streaming and also commiserating with everybody if they need a shoulder to cry on. But we'll have fun together. I've actually taken off those days just to go ahead and do that. Just watch it all. So, you can't. Things happen. Life happens. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
well, it looks like I'll be bringing balance to the celebration festivities in Orlando, representing the light side there. I hate that you can't go. I was looking forward to hanging out with you there and, getting the entire, both parts rather of the Starship Saber and Scoundrels crew out there with the RetroZap crew. But speaking of which, if you like Taxus are going to be at home for Celebration, I'd highly recommend last week's episode of Brews and Blasters. Joe and then Bill Jadowski from the Trade Federation had a pretty good episode about how you can enjoy Celebration from home. And so I highly recommend that one. Okay. Well, next, Hayden Christensen will be at Celebration. For the first time in 15 years, Anakin Skywalker himself will be there. Hayden Christensen will be participating in the 40th anniversary panel on the first day of Celebration. Hayden will also be available for photographs and autographs. Correction, he was available.
Oh.
All those opportunities sold out in record time.
Wow.
So he got back to Celebration, and the fan community was excited to see that because they didn't waste any time buying up all of his tickets for autographs and photo opportunities.
So is this kind of vindication, or do you think it's just taking an opportunity because nobody's sure if he's going to ever come back?
I don't know. I've seen plenty of people on social media that are legitimately excited that he's there.
Yeah.
And don't forget, the prequel generation are no longer kids. They're young adults or adults. And so, whereas Luke is the hero from the OT generation to which you and I belong, the hero of the prequels, the fallen hero of the prequels is going to be there. And a lot of them simply never had a chance to see him at a convention or anything for that matter. Yeah. So this I'm glad he's there. I'm glad that he is reconnecting with Star Wars. It's nice to have him back.
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested in listening to that panel, especially his perspective looking back.
Right.
Golly, almost, I guess 15 years now?
Yeah, I can't remember which one of the celebrations he was at last, but it was in 2002, 2003, somewhere around there. So, it's been a while for him.
Cool. Well, lies! Deceptions. No, not really. But Forrest Whitaker will be at Celebration too, Dennis. Saw Gerrera will be signing autographs in the Autograph Hall in Orlando. In addition, he'll be stopping by the Star Wars live stage with Felicity Jones on Saturday. Now, that's another cool one. It's I don't know if you're ever going to get Felicity Jones and him together again after this.
Right?
Maybe through the miracle of Lucasfilm. I'm not sure, but yeah, Forrest Whitaker. I'm again, that's another one I'm really interested in watching. Just to see what he has to say about being part of the mega franchise. It was one thing to watch him in Europe when they were kind of guessing.
Right,
how things are going to be. I really am kind of interested in hearing their take now that Rogue One is proven to be such the success that was.
Oh, absolutely. It's really cool that the Rogue One cast continues to come back for Celebration. Because it's Forrest, it's Felicity, we got Alan Tudyk, or would you like to say Plano's own Alan Tudyk, Riz Ahmed. They've come back. I mean, I'd love to see more members of this cast come back, but this is cool. This is really nice that they've kind of accepted and embraced the Star Wars community like this. They don't have to. These are all famous actors who've got plenty of things to do and plenty of work that's out there for them. So it's fantastic that they're going to be back. So good for them.
Should be noted that Forrest Whitaker is East Texas's own as well.
That's true. I slipped there. You're right.
That's right.
All right. Well, in the last news item, the Celebration app is fully armed and operational. After weeks of waiting, the Celebration app is available and for use by fans. It's complete with schedules, floor plans, and other resources useful for navigating and surviving Celebration. And I've been making plenty good use of that as I get ready for events later this week.
You know, I'm going to fire it up and kind of mess around with it and make mental notes as to the differences from the Anaheim one, and to see if if there's been any improvements or anything that I can easily see. I think one of the problems that we had with the Anaheim one was that there was like an option saying, hey, connect with other people that you know through social media who are going to be at the show. And for some reason it didn't ever work. You know? Like I think it was supposed to be kind of like a schedule coordinator or something. You know?
Gotcha.
But yeah, so it'd be cool if they got bugs like that worked out. But other than that, maps, if you like looking at a map, and also the scheduling, that was critical to me because I was able to say, okay, I'm going to try to go here and try to go here and try to go there. And it would kind of give you alerts. Hey, this is about to fire up in a couple hours. So be ready. And pretty useful little tool.
Yeah, I've dove right into it. I've picked a bunch of panels I'd like to see and kind of looked at what might be alternatives, and so it's going to be nice to have. I've written out a schedule on paper with some alternatives so that should the app experience difficulties or for whatever reason, I'll have a backup so I have some idea where I want to be and when.
Good idea. Speaking of which, what do you plan on doing?
Well, I will be in Orlando on Wednesday. I don't really plan on doing too much that day, but if you're going to be around the Hilton, I'm hoping to meet up with people, one of the local one of the restaurants or bars, and hang out there on Wednesday evening. At least that's my plan at the moment. Thursday, I am of course going to try and take in the 40th anniversary panel. I suspect I'll be in one of the overflow rooms because I'm not camping out.
Yeah.
Beyond that, Dave Filoni's got a panel that afternoon. So I may try and catch that one. Coffee with Kenobi and Radio 1138 are on the podcasting stage, so I'd like to see them. And then, of course, the Retro Zap meetup is that evening, and that is at David's Club Bar and Grill at the Hilton Orlando at 7 p.m. until they kick us out, which will probably be about 1 o'clock. So if you've got other plans, make that the after party. Come by and see us all. I'll be there. Joe and Chris from Brews and Blasters. We'll have Dan Lazat and Mac Tarkin from Sandcrawler, several others. I think Mike Knipp might be there from the Deucecast Movie Show. A lot of the shows are going to have, from RetroZap, are going to have people there. So stop by and see us. Friday.
I think there's going to be a rare Dave Dollar sighting there, too.
I'm not certain he's there Thursday night. I think he gets there on Friday. But Friday, my plans are a little bit more flexible. I've signed up for 3 autographs that day, and I may have to get that done during the Last Jedi panel. However, I'm not too concerned about that because I suspect the autographs will be not nearly as busy as they will be later in the day. Yeah. And I can watch that on my phone, the streaming option, of course. And, the trailer, should there be a trailer, I'm certain it'll be available shortly thereafter.
So who'd you sign up for autographs?
I am doing the Rebels crew. Freddie Prinze Jr., Vanessa Marshall, and then which of the other two is that day? I think, Atia Sakar. I've already got Steve Bloom's autograph. I met him last year at Fan Expo Dallas.
That's right.
And so Taylor had a conflict on Thursday and Friday, so he's only going to be at Celebration on Saturday and Sunday. So I'm getting his autograph on Sunday morning. It was difficult narrowing it down, but I just decided to go with some of the actors that are currently still working in Star Wars. So I thought that would be fun.
Yeah.
Friday night, I'm doing the Star Wars Galactic Nights at Hollywood Studios. Saturday is Rebels Day. My plans are really up in the air around that because I want to take in as much of the Rebels coverage as I can.
Oh yeah.
And then,
man, I've got to tell you what, I'm envious about that because you're going to be, if you can catch the first episode of the next season, the little preview,
Right.
Man, the energy in the room is just it's indescribable. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited. I hope they do that. Saturday afternoon. It's probably going to be the day. I've got a print that I need to pick up. I want to stop by the Rancho Obi-Wan exhibit. And then Saturday evening, the Skywalking Through Neverland podcast stage appearance. And then I'm going to go check out Coffee with Kenobi's meetup at, was it Jock's Landing down at Disney Springs. And Sunday morning is going to be kind of a take it easy morning. I don't really have much planned then. I think that's, be my, opportunity to just kind of, I got to get Taylor's autograph and then just kind of hang out for a little bit. I mean, a lot of people are leaving that day because it's Easter.
Yeah.
But I haven't made really too many concrete plans for Sunday so far.
So, as far as the autographs, you had to sign up in advance for those, or some of them you're just going to have to wing it?
You can purchase tickets online in advance at the StarWarsAuthentics.com site. The advantage to doing that is that they are calling out the autographs kind of like the way you board a plane. And if you've done a pre-purchase of that, you get into an earlier autograph group. So, I managed to get a group for all my autographs, which means that basically once they start, I can go.
Yeah.
And then, even if once they get to group D, I can still go. I just can't, if one, it's in alphabet order. So, anytime that once they get to C, you can go if you're A, B, or C. And then, if you're D or after, you have to wait. So, I went ahead and did the pre-purchase. I just like the idea of having some of these things paid for before I even get there. Yeah. You can still go get the autograph. You just have to wait in line. And I don't really know how the standby works for that. But
so can you do like more than one autograph when you pre-purchased your autograph? Like if you get there and you say, "Hey, can I get 2 things?" and then you pay them extra?
I don't know how that works. I haven't asked because I don't know if I could go ahead and just pay for a second autograph with that, or I would have, I don't know. But that's a good question. I mean, I guess the danger, if I was playing devil's advocate about why you couldn't, it would be that, one person could theoretically, if you didn't care about meeting the celebrity, you could show up there and pay them $300 and get, however many autographs that would get you. Yeah. And that still takes time. I don't know. So that's a good question. I hadn't looked into that or thought about that.
I bet you they'd be pretty willing to allow you to do multiples within a certain number. You know what I mean?
I'm certain that'd be reasonable.
Right. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, you're going to, you're going to have your hands full, man, because especially that Friday morning, if the Brews and Blasters party, Retro Zap party is going to be going that late, that's a hard morning.
Well, fortunately, I'm staying there at the Hilton, so I won't have far to go, and I'm just not that big of a partier. I'm sure I'll stay out late with the guys because this is my one opportunity to meet all these people from Boston. Yeah, where it seems like most of the Zappers are from these days. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna. Yeah, and I can always party. I can't always be a celebration. So
that's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that will do it for our celebration coverage. I am going to try and do some updates from the show. If I can figure out Facebook Live, perhaps I'll do that. But I'm hoping to at least record a few brief segments and get them out there. So stay tuned to Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels, and hope to get you some coverage from the event itself. What are you doing?
We've discussed my experiences with the last celebration so much. I just think that the best way to sum it up is with a little song. So,
Well, that'd be nice, but I don't think we have a lot of time. Oh, so you're just going to start playing.
Feel the rhythm of Taxus and the Miami Scoundrel Machine.
Wait, how'd you get a band up here?
Tip jar. And the sign says Star Wars Celebration, Anaheim. That
Saving up my cash for the past few months, snatching up every dime. And when I got to the entrance, my hopes started to climb. But they quickly died as I stood outside. Man, this is gonna take time. Line, everywhere I lie. Blocking escalators, seeing Palpatine. Go ahead, no, run there, can't you find the line? And the line to meet Mark Hamill forms to the right. But I accidentally stepped in front of this dude who yelled, "Hey, I've been here all night." He was sitting soundly sleeping, then somehow stood upright. Then I had to snip and coddle with. Man, I almost lost dinner. Line, everywhere I line. You're away for pain and suffering. My nose cannot define. Bathrooms or food trucks, they all got the line. Excuse me, sir, may I ask you, is this the queue for the line or the line for the queue? Don't sit down, stay on your feet, or you ain't got no seat. And the line Han Solo said was,
We're home.
and the sign says closing ceremonies at maximum size. So I hit the first floor and visit the store and maybe buy something nice. But all the shelves were empty except for fuzzy Star Wars dice. But in retrospect, I ain't got no regrets, and they were worth the price. Line, everywhere I line. Just take all my money, woods, and never mind. Vintage autographs instead of a credit line. Line, everywhere I line.
Excuse me, security. I gotta get some info. Well, you were able to get through your head. You could just let John walk me. Well, okay, yeah, I know he's this guy. But you don't know who I am? No, that is not a real lightsaber. Because TSA doesn't want you to take it. Hey, what do you mean, Sam? Hey, calm down.
From cosplay to panels and merchandise, Fan Expo Dallas had it all. Now, we bring you our review. First, Taxus, what was your overall impression of the convention?
I think it's wildly successful. And I'm going to say that because it was insanely packed.
Oh, yeah.
There were so many more people this year than I've seen in any of the ones I've gone to before. And that's not a bad thing. It was just, it was a little hard to kind of figure out what to do and where to go at first because of it, you know?
Right. Right.
But yeah, I think it was very well. I mean, it was well run. It was well done. If I had any questions, any of the helpful staff was right there, ready to help me figure things out. Convention center is a very easy to get around, building. Yeah. So all in all, I think it was a really great experience. Everybody I've talked to really had fun doing it.
Yeah, I agree. Because last year you and I both went on Saturday, and then this year you got to make it all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I went on Saturday and Sunday, and so can only really compare that Saturday. And yeah, you're right. It seemed like a lot more people. At first, I was wondering if perhaps the aisles were smaller, but I don't think they were. I think it was just a lot more people showed up for it. But yeah, a good time, very good time. We're going to get through all the various parts of it here, step by step. Mm-hmm. So Friday night, you had the privilege of attending Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker himself's panel. So, what'd you think? Tell us about it.
Well, that was a extra ticketed event that you had to pay for if you wanted to make sure to get into it, which I understand, because when you have somebody like with the name like Mark Hamill, you need some controls on it, right?
Right.
And making a ticketed event kind of helps, I think, make sure that you've got the right amount of people for the right amount of seats. You know, if somebody, rather than just doing a lineup, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that being said, it was completely worth it. So I went ahead and did the silver just to make sure I could get preferential seating, because I really wanted to get in good so I could maybe get some good audio. He came out with much fanfare. Everybody went nuts for him, of course. And, he's really, really, he really does a good conversational style kind of panel, He really wanted to make it like a conversation. And he's very stream of consciousness, too. In fact, in the beginning, I think somebody shouted out, "I'm your sister," or something, and he kind of had fun with that. And then he said, but we should talk about Carrie. And of course, the crowd went wild for that. And he started in talking a little bit about Carrie Fisher. And then I think he spent about 5 minutes going somewhere else with it. And then he finally came back around and ended it with back to Carrie kind of thing. That was a really, really, I think, a really good message, a real special message he had to say about her. And he basically said you want to just go ahead and bring it up so that it's not kind of hanging over anything. And that's exactly what she wouldn't want to have happen. And
right.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, and after that, there were a lot of questions, a lot of Joker questions thrown his way. Some Corvette Summer, believe it or not, somebody fielded a couple of those. He was taking questions from the audience kind of left and right, and then you had people at the microphone working their way in when they could. He had some really, really fun things to say about the holiday special. and how he said, basically, he, they still to this day, people are like, "Don't talk about the holiday special, Mark." He's like, "Oh, come on, we got to talk about that. It happened." And he said that when he was younger, he was, and George came to him about the holiday special. He's like, no, we're not going to do this. No, this is dumb. And George is like, "Look, the movie's been out for about a year now, and we're coming up to another Christmas season here, and we're trying to reinvigorate it, remind people about it, And so that was kind of the impetus for doing it, according to him. He said, "Okay, yeah, I understand that. I do that. But Luke Skywalker does not sing." That's what he told him. So, he had some great little insights like that. It was, had some good items about the first day of shooting, and Star Wars and what it was like. I just really kind of got myself, I was really kind of mesmerized, you might say. I was pretty close to him, to the stage. And actually, believe it or not, I think this is probably, if just thinking about with Anaheim, his panel is probably not going to be as close and personal as this one was. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it was a smaller room from what I imagine they're going to probably be in at a celebration. But yeah, he, one thing he really kind of said that I thought was kind of interesting is that he hasn't seen the movie since 1997. And,
do you believe that? That seems a little, I know John Williams recently said he hasn't actually watched the movies beyond what he had to do to score them, but I kind of think Hamill's probably seen, maybe not sat down and watched them start to finish, but I got to believe he's seen parts of these things.
Yeah.
At least over the, it's been 40 years. Come on.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. He said that was the last time when the special editions were coming out, and his kids were like, "We've never seen them in the big screen." So I said, "Yeah, okay, so we got to go. We got to go see it,"
Right.
So yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So you had a clip that you wanted to share from the panel.
Yeah, this one I thought was one of the best insights, I think, to somebody who I personally feel is the most mysterious of the cast members. Yeah, Mark had some really, really fun things to say about his relationship with Alec Guinness.
You all heard that? He's asking about what it's like working with Alec Guinness. Well, first of all, he invited me to lunch to meet me before we worked. That's already a good sign, because that means he cares about the other actors. He could just show up on set the first day, how do you do, hit your mark. And he was the sweetest, gentlest, most wonderful, like the epitome of an English gentleman. So kind, so generous, and I'd be wanting to talk about the Lady Killers or the Lavender Hill Mob or Bridge on the River. I said, no. I want to hear about your career. What, a dog food commercial and a soap opera? Give me a break. He loved, first of all, he loved how irreverent American humor can be. And once I got over, because I was really tongue-tied around him, it was like being in the principal's office, like, gosh. But once I got relaxed around him, it was wonderful. And we stayed in contact. We exchanged letters years after the movie. When I go to London, he's been playing in the West End, I go see the play, we go out after dinner, and he was always lecturing me about loyalty. He would tell me stories about this one actress we gave recommended for a part, and she went all Hollywood on him, and I said, who was it? It's not important. This is Susanna York, wasn't it? Because I could do, I have some knowledge about films, but he would always, he's too much of a gentleman. But he loved to laugh. We were in North Africa one time, and Lady Guinness. See, I could always remember, if you say something that's irreverent or unexpected, it usually gets a good response from Alec, who I kept calling Sir Alec, Sir Alec, Sir Alec. And one day he just leaned over and he did my face, he went, I said, how? Why'd you do that? He said, I want to be known by my name, not my accolade. I said, what do you want me to call you? Big Al? You want that? He said, so he kind of did want me to call him Big Al. But one time, this is a true story, it sounds like a total setup, but it's true, and I thought, I only did it because I knew it would make him laugh. I didn't really think it through, because it probably really offend his wife. But she was, that's Millie, you'll be meeting her later. A rescue pup, yeah. And we just rescued another one named Mabel. Yeah. Adopt, don't shop. We got these two off of death row. So anyway, she's sketching this mosque in North Africa, and one of the set security guys just went off. I mean, we thought he'd lost his mind. Oh, look who's here. How are you? Here, you want to get up?
I was like, there's another one coming.
So anyway, I'm drawing. She's You want to tell the story? Come here. Here we go. So anyway, this guy just loses his mind. And he's screaming at us in Arabic mixed with French, I don't know what. He grabs the tablet out of her hand, pulls the page of the mosque that she was drawing, and rips it up and throws it down. We were just stunned. I mean, we later found out it's sacrilegious to draw a mosque. But we were Westerners. We didn't know what was going on. So we were sort of ashen-faced, and he goes stomping off. He was just livid. And Alex said to me, Who in the world was that? I said, I don't know. I have no idea. Unless perhaps it's a local art critic? So Mr. Hamill, he loved that. So Mr. Hamill.
Yeah, that was fun. I like the way that Mark talks about Alec.
Yeah, I don't really think of Alec Guinness. You know, I don't know. I guess we've just gotten to know the rest of the cast members so much more. You know,
well, they've been around.
Yeah, right. And unfortunately, he passed, you know, quite a number of years ago. So we didn't really get as much of the after effect of this movie and kind of his thoughts on it, you know?
Yeah, we didn't have Alec for celebrations.
Right, exactly. You know, we've got James Earl Jones, you know, another very classic actor. And I just always felt like, you know, Alec Guinness was kind of a Mysterio to me. So I suppose I found that one of the most interesting tidbits he had to say. But, you know, he ended it all up with talking about how paranoid he was about accidentally saying spoilers. And, you know, he recounted a little quick story about where he was talking about Rey, and he was talking about Daisy Ridley and how, you know, what a wonderful young lady she was, and she's pretty and all this other stuff. And he said, he thought to himself, oh, I'm starting to sound creepy. I better say something to make that not sound so dirty old man. And he said, you know, like a father would say of his child. He said, and the next day, everybody was going nuts. So I've really learned how to be careful with trying to make sure I'm not saying something that could be construed as a spoiler. But they said, yeah.
I've seen a video where he deliberately was trolling the audience with that remark before. Right. So I think he's learned how to use that one to his advantage. Right.
But he also said he can't get away with stuff like that much anymore because everybody knows his April Fool's jokes. You know?
Right. Okay, well, I know on Saturday I was taking in the voice actors do the Princess Bride script reading, which was a lot of fun, but it's not Star Wars. You had the opportunity to meet Alan Tudyk. You stood in line for his autograph.
I sure did, and that was fun. We had really good, you know, that was Saturday. That was super packed. You know, what I like to do is I like to try to, you know, go interact with different people at the convention. You know, maybe see if they want to talk to the Scoundrels, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Uh-huh. And I was really worried that I wasn't going to get that opportunity to do that, at least on Saturday. And so I'm standing in line and I'm talking to everybody and we're yucking it up. And about an hour and a half into it, I noticed that this young lady standing in front of me by a couple of people, you know, we're all kind of talking and she said something about Afra. And I looked at her and went, oh, you're Afra. I said, wow. It just took, I just didn't catch it. Right. And, she had thrown together this really cool looking little Afra costume, which wasn't that hard to put together except for just a few things, that you hopefully have on hand. But got to ask her about it and got some of her thoughts, while we were all waiting in line. And, why don't we listen to what she has to say?
Hey, Scoundrels, this is your intrepid reporter, Darth Taxus, standing in line for how many hours have we been in line now?
About 2 hours and 15 minutes.
2 hours and 15 minutes. And what happened? We got all the way in, and what's going on?
We just we're really excited because we're almost just a few people away from having Alan Tudyk sign our autographs, but he had to take a restroom break.
That's right, and we hope it's number 1, so it'll be fast. But it's taken a little while, so I don't know. It could be more. But they gave us an opportunity to discuss some cosplaying. We have a wonderful young lady here who's doing a great Afra, and what's her name, please? Laura, okay. Is that your last name?
No. Laura Penrod.
You got to wait for me to move. Say something. Go, so you'll hear how that sounds later. This is cool. Okay, what are you doing now? You're doing Dr. Afra.
Yes.
How long ago did it hit you to do this?
It was just this outfit today.
Well, when did you think about doing it?
Earlier this week. My
Wow, so that's a pretty quick turnaround. Okay, so you've got all the weird lines. We're not sure what those lines are on her body anymore right now, are?
I think they're just tattoos at the moment, but we haven't given any confirmation of what they actually are. So,
what do you think they are?
I think they're just tattoos.
I was hoping it'd be some sort of implant enhancement, but who knows? So did you do that by yourself, or did you have a partner who lovingly helped you?
I did it myself with a mirror and a lot of patience.
Did you use a ruler, or they're pretty straight?
I did not use a ruler. I free-handed it.
Well, that's great. Are you a tattoo artist by trade, or?
No, just a regular artist. I paint.
You paint? Well, interesting. Would you like to do a portrait of me?
Oh goodness, I haven't done commissions in a long time.
That's okay. I haven't done a lot of things in a long time. Okay, so tell us where you got everything going on here.
So most of it I already had, and the reason I did this because I realized I was just an orange vest and fingerless gloves away from it. So I had the boots. I wear them usually. I had jeans. I had the belt holster and gun for a Han cosplay, and then I bought the orange vest and gloves on Amazon.
You know, we're all just an orange vest and gloves away. Well, thank you very much. You have anything you want to say? Anybody, any social media or anything like that? Anything, your messages you want to say? Oh, it looks like he's here.
He's back, finally.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Do you have any social media or anything like that you want to share?
Yes, I am at Cheerio_buffet on Twitter and Instagram.
Excellent. That is awesome. Who doesn't love cereal buffets? So, thank you so much. Let's do two.
Yeah, that was a fantastic cosplay. If the Scoundrels want to see what that looked like, you can. You and I both wrote a article on Fan Expo Dallas that is on the RetroZap website, and I will try to remember to put the link to that in the show notes for this episode. But it was a fantastic cosplay.
Well, it was really funny because the reason I decided to fire up the mic is we were right about to get up to Alan Tudyk, and we'd been there for about 2.5 hours, and he had to take a break. Well, you know, I mean, everybody does, right?
Right.
But we're thinking, oh no, is this one of those, I've got to go do an hour-long panel somewhere or something? Break?
Yeah, or panel or interview or something.
Right. We didn't know, but fortunately it wasn't that long. Didn't take that long. And one of the things I said to Alan, when I finally got up to him, I said, yeah, wow. He goes, well, how you doing? I said, that's kind of hard. You know, could you imagine being stuck somewhere for like over 2 hours?
You did?
Yeah. He said,
what did he say?
Yeah. I think I know what that feels like. And I was like, oh, great. And I told him, I said, I gotta say, I'm a big fan of your work. I really loved what you've done in Justified. And I'm sure you've been in other stuff too. And he stopped.
That's what you picked out.
Yeah, he stopped he was like, wait a minute. I wasn't Justified. Almost like he almost forgot about it. But
he was good in Justified.
Oh yeah, he was. Boy, talk about a totally different character. That's one of the reasons why I really liked watching him in his brief stint in that show. But yeah, he was a great guy. I had him sign my Black Series K2SO, and then I got him to.
How did he sign that?
He said, Darth Taxus, Cassian made me.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I'm really kicking myself because I really wish on the photo that I got him, I really wish I would have had him say, and there's a fresh one for you, the fresh one line. But I was kind of like, wow, your Alan Tudyk is so Alan Tudyk. I was a little starstruck because I think he actually is in my pantheon of favorite actors. There's just nothing he's in that I don't like watching.
Right. Well, let's see. So you got his autograph, and then what else happened on Saturday? I had an opportunity to kind of wander by the 501st was there, and they weren't by themselves. They had the Rebel Legion, the Mando Mercs, and the Droid Builders. They were in a nice consolidated area this year, and not that they were so spread out last year, but they kind of had their gear spread out, and they were answering questions about it. So you kind of take a look at their stuff and see what they do. They had a shooting range, which was very amusing. For a tip, one of the cosplayers would stand in front of a Star Wars backdrop, and you get to fire dart guns at them. I didn't get a chance. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go up there and do that one myself, but that was a nice touch. And then they had 2 photo backdrops that they were doing for people, and so it was good to see the 501st out there in force again this year. Did you get a chance to stop by?
Yeah, I sure did, and I agree with you. I really liked how they had it organized this time. It was like the Star Wars corner, you might say. Right. It was kind of tucked away from the main thoroughfare, so it was a lot easier for people to stop and kind of engage and do some of the activities. I was watching this one kid just desperately trying to shoot a stormtrooper with that game you were talking about.
Right.
And just a comical juxtaposition. He just couldn't hit the stormtrooper no matter what. So, but yeah, did you see the variant group that was walking around like with black and white armor and red and white? Red and blue lights. Like they're police.
Yeah, they had the strobes, right?
Yeah. So they were all decked out like police officers. I got some good pictures of them going around and stuff. I'll have to make sure I tweet those out again with this when we're releasing the show. But yeah, I thought that was really, really good. What else did you end up doing on Saturday? Anything else?
Well, I mentioned the Princess Bride panel where the voice actors were doing that. That was a lot of fun. But Saturday was just so busy. It was hard to get into a lot of different things. But I had an opportunity to take in a lot of the other cosplayers. And, there was a lot of good Rays there. She is still a popular character. I think I saw one Jyn Erso. But in addition to the traditional The Force Awakens Ray, there was one couple that I got off the train behind. He was dressed up as... It looked like Kylo, except for he had much longer hair. The hair style reminded me of Qui-Gon Jinn. She was a dark side Rey.
Cool.
That was pretty fantastic. The costume was all black as opposed to the white and beige.
Yeah.
And then she did, she had the hair buns done correctly, and then she had some makeup on the side that kind of gave her a dark side edge.
Yeah,
so
cool.
That was a fantastic. Some of the other non-Star Wars cosplay that I saw around, by far the best one, I think, was Doc Ock from Spider-Man.
That was
that
great.
guy had the best set of tentacles, and he had the Spider-Man 2 look, the Tobey Maguire. He had the Spider-Man, when Alfred Molina played Doc Ock. That was really good. Then there was a group that was all dressed up as bracers from Mario Kart. And they wandered around a line. Took a lot of room, but they were pretty good.
Yeah.
And then you had some Sentinels from the X-Men. They couldn't get anywhere very far.
Oh, see, I totally missed those.
Oh, yeah. They were the classic 80s and early 90s purple and blue Sentinels. Yeah, they're really tall. They were all on some sort of stilts. They couldn't get anywhere very fast, but they had the look down pat. But the number one thing that I saw as far as cosplaying is that everyone was wandering around with Lucille, that bat from The Walking Dead that's wrapped around the barbed wire. Whether they were dressed up as Negan, is that his name? Yep. I don't watch Walking Dead or not. It just, people had that bat. It was all over the place.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird because, I used to carry a bat with barbed wire wrapped around it when I was in high school. I mean, I was like a trendsetter. So I don't know. I guess, I'm just wrong place and wrong time, right?
Yeah, I'm going to let that one drop. So let's move on to Sunday.
Let me point out one more big deal on Saturday. Sure. I had my site, Drew Struzan, And so it took me forever to kind of figure out where he was. But when I got there, he was there, and there weren't that many. It was easy to get up to him, right? It took me no time at all. I don't know. I guess it was kind of an awkward exchange. I ended up, the one poster I really liked was the one with the Revenge of the Jedi one, but they didn't have a poster version of that. They just had a lithograph that was $1,500. So,
oof,
yeah. So I got a really nice Star Wars poster. It's kind of that classic one that looks more like a 50s version, like if it was released as a 50s movie. You know what I mean? And I walk up to him and I'm like, wow, this is just awesome. You're part of the foundations of everything that I think of with pop culture and stuff. And he's like, yeah, thanks. So what'd you get? And I said, I got a poster and I bought a tube with the poster, right? To keep it safe. Okay. Well, I didn't realize that because I didn't see them actually put a poster in the tube. They just handed me the tube. And I thought, well, maybe they're giving them posters somewhere else. I never thought to myself that maybe the poster is actually in the tube already, that maybe they would have pulled it out for me or given it, or if I didn't want to buy the tube along with it. So I said, well, I bought a poster. I'm not sure, because he kind of is looking at me like, well, are you going to give me something to sign? I'm like, but I'm not sure where it's at, And keep in mind, I'm in my business attire that day, right? Mm-hmm. So we're full Taxus out. And he's like, well, did you look in the tube? No, sir, I did not look in the tube. So I start trying to open the tube, and guess what? I'm kind of freaked out now. So I started opening the wrong end. And he's like, here, let me help you. And he's looking over his system like, oh, jeez, this guy, I'm like, okay. So he pulls it out. And I said, he goes, so what do you want to sign on it? I said, well, could you say, to Taxus, stay strong for the Scoundrels? And he sits there and looks at me and looks at it. And he goes, nah. Okay. And he goes, see, this is mine. Yes, sir. And so, what your words are yours. Yes, sir. I'm attempting to transact with you so that you may put my words on your property. He goes, what else? Well, try something else. I go, oh, okay. Well, how about this? To Taxus, keep on scoundreling. Nah. Oh, okay. I know. And he just puts to Taxus, contemplates for a while, and then just signs his autograph. Looks back at it, kind of gives it a nod. He goes, yeah. I said, oh, well, thank you. He said, yeah. I said, and we talked a little bit more, and I think I might have said the phrase like, I've never been so honored, entertained, and also terrified all in one time period. He goes, yeah, well, I've known comedians. I said, well, I'm not a comedian. He says back, I never said you were. Hey-o! I said that right back to him, and he started cracking up. So the guy, he's like pulling my leg the entire time, just, intentionally, and he is good. He outdueled me. So, yeah, that was super fun.
All right. Well, good. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to stop by his booth when he was there. Stopped by a few times, and he was off doing other things, but I'm going to have to definitely check him out the next time he's around.
It's cool. I'll have to pull that out and get a nice picture of it. I just don't really have a good space to pull it out yet,
Right. So Sunday, that was definitely more of a winding up day. I got there, and that was my opportunity to see Mark Hamill. Now, he was co-starring, so to speak, in a panel with Kevin Conroy on the Batman the Animated Series. Mm-hmm. It was unmoderated, so it was just Mark and Kevin. And for all intents, it was about 80% Mark and 20% Kevin. He just took the thing over. So it wasn't heavy on Star Wars. There was a question and answer session at the end, and a lot of people tried to ask about Star Wars, but this panel had a premium element to it that people had signed up. They got a lithograph, and that was signed by the two of them, and so it very much was supposed to be a Batman thing. So he would answer the Star Wars questions, but he'd always turn it back to Batman, and right. So he did a good job on that, and he is a Batman aficionado. Mm-hmm. He knew way more about Batman than Kevin Conroy, Mr. Batman himself, did, and he knew about all the different villains, and they essentially gave him his first role, which I can't remember what the character's name was, the one I wasn't familiar with, and then later he had to audition for the Joker, and he didn't think he was going to get it. And then he got it, and he's like, I can't believe I got this. I'm going to screw it up, because he had to follow the likes of Jack Nicholson and all these other famous people that had done Joker. So, but that was a fun panel, and that was good. And then he wasn't signing autographs then, but or he was, but the line at that point was just so incredibly long. There was no way we were going to get through it before the end of the convention. But I did take my family to see Kevin Conroy at his table, and we got his autograph, and he couldn't have been nicer and more gracious.
Yeah.
And he was there well after the time most of the other celebrities had packed it up and left for the day. But he was still sticking around, signing everything he could until they told him that they were turning the lights off. So, that was very gracious of him.
Yeah, that's cool. Hamill, I remember he did have some stories about his first attempts in getting into the series, and he kind of dovetailed it a little bit with the trickster talk, too, when he was talking about Batman and all that. And one of the things I thought was pretty cool is how he described his feelings about all the different actors that have played the Joker and what he feels that each of them brought to the character. So that was pretty neat. I thought that was cool.
That was a point in common with the panel that I went to. And I know he is really hung up on the prospect of cheeseburger flavored Oreos.
Yeah, he talked about that too.
That just alarmed him quite a bit. But
somebody from the audience yelled, "Just try them!"
Yeah, I don't think I would. But anyway.
Yeah, well, actually, Sunday was a lot easier, so I did have the opportunity to go around and kind of interact with some of the convention goers, and one of the things that they were doing was the nerd speed dating, and this kind of intrigues me. So I was looking at the people who are promoting it, and there was one gentleman there, and he was absolutely disinterested in anything that I had to offer. But there was a young lady there too who was all dark-sided out, so of course I was intrigued, and I felt that maybe the Scoundrels would like to hear what she had to say about it.
I forgot to ask. Hey, this is your intrepid little co-host of Darkness, Taxus here at day 3 of the Fan Expo Dallas, and I am at a very special booth. Might not be as timely as what others are past, but that's okay. We can think about love year one.
It's going to be the sci-fi speed dating.
Okay, and what's your name?
My name's Amy.
Hi, Amy. Is that your last name or your first name?
That's my first name.
Oh, okay. Is it also possibly your middle name? What's your name? Okay, this is Amy Lauren. I'm just going to call you Amy Lauren. So, all right, so you're all decked up, and that's a really cool face mask you got going on.
Going for a Sith Lord. I'm going for a Sith Lord, maybe like a little Mad Max style.
Okay, well, do you mind putting it on? Oh yeah, there it is. All right, it looks great. It's completely you'll see pictures of it, but completely hiding her face except for her eyes, and she is terrifying looking. Now, would you mind taking it off?
Oh, of course.
Just wait, slower. It's okay. There you go. Awesome. Okay, so I got a quick question. Is this dating while you're on speed? Is that what this is? Because I don't think that the event would really like it. I must be confused.
No drugs in reality.
Oh, good. Okay, so no. What is it basically from top to bottom?
It's just a 3-minute date, probably the longest one we'll have.
That's true. That is true. So how's it work?
Women sit there and wait for you, and it's basically musical chairs for guys. 3 minutes with a pretty lady.
Oh my gosh. It's like a dream situation. Instead of guys just laying around waiting for the perfect lady to come by, because, let's face it, if you're going to be in somebody with some life interest, right?
Exactly. You definitely want to find the nerd of your dreams.
That's awesome. Okay, so did you actually do the speed dating?
Yeah, I did it yesterday, and I'll probably do it again today as long as my future partner does it.
So Mark Hamill's going to basically C-block everybody is what you're saying, right? Is that what you're doing?
Oh, I hope so.
Okay, so do you have an idea, like anybody?
I gave out my number a few times. I found a few cute guys.
Oh my, okay. What was their fandom? Can you tell us that? Like, were they dressed as cosplayers? Did you identify who they really like, or what?
We just kind of talk about Comic-Con, and I'm a huge Comic-Con person. I'm here every year. So as long as they like video games and sci-fi, they're good for me.
What's your favorite fandom?
Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, in my book, you're a 10 as well. have a social media contacts that you might want to share out there? Just if anybody's listening and wants to follow you and find out what's going on?
You can add me on Snapchat or Instagram. It's Amy Bugs, AMYUGZ.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy Lowe. I appreciate it. And you keep on sifting now, all right?
Well, I thank her very much for her time. And, if I was not so previously married and cumbered, I might try the nerd speed dating myself at some point. But right after that, I ran into a relatively new group of cosplayers. Dennis, have you heard of the Dark Empire?
I am not familiar with them.
Okay, well, they are a group who are dark side / Sith related, and that's what all their costuming efforts are for. And they're not like as strict about canon and making sure you fit in to that. I mean, you can basically it's wide open, but had some good little conversation with them if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah, let's see what they had to say.
All right, Darth Taxus, your little humble Dark Lord again, just roaming the crowd, ran across some compatriots and brothers and sister in arms, you might say. Okay, so why don't you say your names and who you represent?
Lady Hedera.
The Archon.
And what would you say his name is if you got to pick his name when he was born?
He is Asmodeus, the Inquisitor Asmodeus.
I said mode. All right, so who do you represent?
Currently, I represent the Dark Empire. And we're here at Dallas Fan Expo, having a good time, interacting with fans, and furthering the power of the Empire.
I think we all want that. Okay, so we're going to do this real quick. If you describe your costumes, let's start with our friend here, Asmodeus. And what would you describe his costume like? Because it's pretty kicking, I got to tell you. We'll put some pictures out there to the Scoundrels.
Asmodeus is wearing beautiful armor that's been blasted all to heck by the rebel scum. He's wearing a beautiful robe. He's wearing a beautiful robe today.
It's
His
lovely.
eyes are glowing with that Sith glow like it always is.
They're really nice.
Has a wonderful three-pronged saber hanging at his side. But
Whoa, this is a kid's show.
Three-pronged saber.
All right, there you go.
I think that's okay.
Okay.
And yes, he's fought for the Empire for how many years? 3 years for the Empire. And is very
cycles.
Very deadly with a lightsaber.
Whoa, 3 cycles. That's a lot. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the organization does and what they're about?
No, don't ask her. She's new.
Okay.
So, if you guys have heard of the 501st, similar idea, charity organization. We're kind of new in North Texas, so we're trying to kind of promote it. But the idea is to raise money for different events or different charities and go to events to do so. And we're working pretty closely with the Rebel Legion and the 501st. So
excellent. So, are you guys like serious about you must maintain these type of canonical type flavors because it's kind of a fringer group? You're a little more relaxed.
Right. So that's actually a good question. So a lot of the people.
Thank you. I have a lot of them.
So a lot of the people who approach the 501st that are constantly like, oh, I want to do my own custom costume for like a Sith Lord. A lot of the 501st ends up having to turn them away because they're the ones that do all the purely canonical characters, stuff that you see in the old legend stuff, the old novels and stuff. There are some CRLs for that, but mostly the books and the movies. Well, whereas the Dark Empire, we do approve canon characters, but we also have different subcategories for custom characters, which allows a lot of the members to be a lot more creative.
That's awesome.
The other books, other non-canon books, the video games, Star Wars, The Old Republic, and so forth. That's where I'm directly from. So, yeah, there's a little bit more leeway, but we still have to meet certain standards so that we look appropriate.
Oh, I agree. Nobody wants a halfway Sith Lord. You got to go all the way dark, right? Okay, well, thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of time. There's a lot of people that are really wanting to get pictures with you. I know it's kind of the curse of looking so good, right? I mean, me. So thanks again, guys. And I think I speak for everybody saying we're really excited about the Dark Empire.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. I really am interested in joining that organization. I'm going to make sure to look them up. I just, it's something that I think that I could find a little home for, especially since I'm not quite ready for 501st-isms. But But all that
Wait a
had
minute.
me.
This is a costume, you're telling me?
Sorry, business attire.
Gotcha.
Yes, gotcha.
All right. So I think after that, you had you got Tudyk's autograph the day before, but then you had an opportunity to attend his panel.
Yes, I did. And that was great. Not so much Star Wars focused as one might think. He was all over the place. He had a ton of fans in there from, Firefly, from, Dollhouse, people were talking about. And he said it was really weird. It was like Dollhouse was like being filmed in a Marriott just with really hot people. So, he had some interesting things about how it's still weird to him that Mark Hamill's his friend now. And because he's like, it's Mark Hamill. And Mark's like, oh, hey, buddy, how's it going, Alan? Yeah, okay, But some of the actors that he still kind of gets awestruck over are Ben Mendelsohn. And he had some kind of interesting things to say about him.
Also in Rogue One, Ben Mendelsohn's one of my favorite actors in the world. I didn't get to meet him. He plays the bad guy who is helping build the Death Star. So I got to meet him on all the press stuff. We didn't have any scenes together, but got to meet him. Darth Vader was cool, whatever.
You guys hang out now?
We got, yeah. He's cool. He smokes a lot. That's what that breathing thing is. It's just like, you're not going to beat the odds. Yeah. So yes, long way around. Yep.
Yeah. That was just a great example of just the little slight comedy that he would throw out there, especially that line about Darth Vader being cool or whatever. But
right.
Yeah. One of the other things I really love hearing the story about, and people have probably heard it. Somebody asked him, does he have a favorite line in Rogue One? And he tells the story about how he came up with the fresh one comment. So why don't we give that a listen?
No, I loved when I hit Cassian. And it's the part where I'm taking these prisoners that go to prison to imprison them. Which Gareth let us play around. Like that was, I don't know, we were just really goofy that day. And so I said that. And it just like, I never thought that would make it in the movie. And then when I hit Diego, you can see it. It's the only thing in the movie. He starts to break. You can see he's got a smile coming. He covers his face after he's been hit, but he's about to laugh. And I said, and there's a fresh one if you mouth off again. And absolutely certain I was never going to make it in the movie. And they put it in. I was so happy. So that one, all those little lines that you kind of just throw in here and there, that if they ever make it in the movie, it's a real, it's an honor, especially in a Star Wars movie. You think of those as being sacred, not so sacred when we're on set. I think because it was a standalone.
Yeah, I wish I could have attended that panel. That sounds like that would have been an awful lot of fun, but of course I was busy getting into the Hamill Conroy panel at the time.
Yeah, that's cool. He had some great items where he talked about his Texas accent and how he'll sometimes say y'all are fixing to, and his wife looks at him like, where are you from? He says, I might have a beer, and it starts kind of slipping out of me. But, he did verify he was Plano's own. So,
Indeed.
89, I believe it was.
Yeah, okay. Well, Fan Expo Dallas was an incredibly good time. Yeah. Do you have a final thought that you want to share on that?
Man, I'll tell you what. Next year, I might do what you did and take the train. That's really the only thing that I'm thinking, because if you miss that sweet spot of parking, man, it might take you a while to find a space.
Yeah, the dart rail is awfully convenient for getting there and getting home, because I was wiped at the end of both days, and it was nice to be able to doze off a little bit on the way back. But I thought the convention was incredibly successful this year. They had a really great selection of panels. There was a number of things that I wanted to do. There was a Voltron panel from, I can't remember what they said, anime to Netflix that I was going to try and hit, but that conflicted with what I was doing with the Princess Bride panel. They something like Celebration caters exclusively to Star Wars fans, and that's great. But when you have a broader interest, Fan Expo Dallas and the like are a dream because you can go geek out over a bunch of fun things. So I think that'll do it then for our review. And I think on behalf of both of us, I'd give it 2 thumbs up.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to Fan Days, which is probably going to be in October. It's kind of their more off-season convention, still super fun. And can't wait to see what they've got brewed up next year. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, again, check out Fan Expo Dallas in 2018.
Celebration occurs wherever he is hanging out this weekend. There are entire panels devoted to how interesting he is. Anything he purchases instantly becomes an exclusive. The estimated value of his autograph and photo op is priceless. The line always forms right behind him. Fans are already camping out for his appearance. His post-convention meetup just involves drowning. He is the most interesting Sith in the galaxy.
I always drink, and sometimes, when I'm desperate, I drink Dulce Spirit. Stay seethy, my fools.
It's time for another edition of
Silence, Fools!
All right. Well, I asked our listeners on Twitter to tell us what their favorite novel of the new canon is, and here are some of the responses. First, we got an email from the great Matt Moore, who is famous for Comics with Kenobi and Comic Book Noob on the Comics with Kenobi network and the Assembly Geeks network, respectively. And his response is, hands down and without a doubt, Bloodline. That's a compelling tale of political intrigue and machinations, along with blended espionage, adventure, and supreme character building that just happens to take place in a galaxy far, far away. And that's, of course, Matt Moore, and he's at Gorilla Scribe on Twitter. Yeah, it's a good book, no doubt about it. Not my favorite, but it is. It's hard to argue with anyone if they tell you that's what they prefer.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that, I think you'll find some people really get something out of one novel that others might not. And some might say, well, that does a disservice, but I think that actually is interesting from the standpoint that you're offering a lot of different stories that allow a lot of different people to feel part of the Star Wars universe. Yeah.
Right. Well, we had an interesting little conversation going on Twitter about this with some of the Scoundrels. We had Ryan, who is at the Arrowbreaker, and he tweeted us Lost Stars All the Way, which just happens to be another Claudia Gray book. And, as many people's favorites. And Amy, our friend Amy Wishman-Nayland, chimed in and with her response, which was the Aftermath trilogy. Now, Ryan disagrees. He says the Aftermath books were such a chore to get through and largely forgettable. I don't know about that. I'm very fond of the Aftermath trilogy. I know the style of that Wendig style is not easy for everyone to digest, or people just don't like it, which is fine. To each their own. We also had received a tweet from Tamar, who is at Xena Colada, and he also agrees that Bloodline is the best. He says Bloodline, Lair's characterization was spot on. So thanks to all of our Scoundrels for chiming in there. So it looks like we have a couple votes for Bloodline, Lost Stars, and the Aftermath trilogy, if you're looking for something in the new canon to get into.
Yeah. Well, next up, we've got a little email from David Kelly, and he asks, on behalf of a 5-year-old, question of the day, what do Gungans eat? And it's interesting because we know, at least from the latest Aftermath, that Gungans indeed eat fish.
Right?
Yeah. And they will also eat pretty much anything, I think.
Well, right. If you go back to the Phantom Menace, he was trying to get his early morning munchins when Qui-Gon and the droid armies stumbled upon him. I thought he was like trying to fly open a clam or something back then.
Yeah.
And then when they got to Mos Espa on Tatooine, he just wrapped his tongue around whatever that frog-looking creature was.
Frog thing, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then of course at Shmi's table, he was trying to get the fruit that was in the bowl. and before Qui-Gon grabbed his tongue and told him not to do that again. So
he's an omnivore. Yeah. Right?
That's for certain.
Yeah. Yeah. So I imagine a Gungan might eat pretty much what a human might eat.
And then some.
Because
I'm not sure I would eat that frog creature.
No.
But, well, there you go, David. You can tell your 5-year-old that's, the palate of a Gungan is varied.
Yes.
So we've got another email from our friend Matt, also known as Rezakai. And he says, first, thanks for reading my last letter. I appreciate the work you both do in bringing great Star Wars related content to the masses. It's great content, Taxus. That's awesome. Second, I like listening to your last episode with the guys from Brews and Blasters to talk Star Wars figures and merchandise. I am an opener of my Star Wars figs, but I do keep the packaging, so that it was fun to hear that Taxus keeps the G.I. Joe figure file cards as well. Yeah. I did too when I was growing up for a long time. The action figure conversation was a great one, and I was really glad to hear you guys had another episode on it, as you did back in episode 13, I think. Yeah, that was our show with Mac on our top 10 action figures. Mm-hmm. I love hearing about them and people's favorites and takes on them. Also, while I knew a sophisticated and well-educated intellectual Dark Lord like Darth Taxus would have heard of the Harp twins, I'm surprised you didn't, Dennis. But if you get the chance, I honestly highly suggest giving them a peep. It's funny, I'm always the one that gets called out on these things. But anyway, actually, I have heard of them now that I think about it. It was on, I think the Bearded Trio every once in a while does a winding down with John Williams type of thing. And I'm pretty sure they were featured on one of those. Oh, yeah. But anyways, he continues, like Taxus, I've been a fan of the Harp Twins for some time and love hearing not only their Imperial March duet songs, but also many other of their short videos where they play and perform other Star Wars songs and occasional fight scene. Yeah. But I have to give you props for tuning me into Galactic Empire. Their first album dropped recently. Yes, it did. And it is fantastic.
Yes.
My kids love it. And that's kind of like been their introduction into heavy metal.
Awesome.
Yeah. Lastly, Taxus's low-key sports comedy is something missed by many of my fellow Star Wars friends, but I loved it being a sports fan myself. Mike Gundy's I'm a Man, I'm 40 rant is one of epicness that good sports fans love. Yeah, that Oklahoma State rant was the one for the ages. I'm sure in Texas, the Longhorns and Houston have plenty of followers, as we so hear with folks dressing up as stormtroopers at Ohio State. Do either of you or your friends mix your Star Wars and sports? I know I love it, to the frustrated sighs and frowns of my fellow Star Wars brethren. Now, he attached a few pictures of their Ohio State troopers, which were pretty good.
Yeah, they
we'll
were.
have to try getting those maybe out on Facebook. Matt, let us know if that's okay.
Yeah.
And then he ends up with, again, thanks for the great show and keep up the great work. So, the mashup with the sports and Star Wars, that's becoming quite a big deal. You see a lot of sports teams are having Star Wars night, and I haven't made it to one yet. The local minor league team, the Allen Americans, which are probably going to get rebranded as the Dallas Americans or the North Texas Americans or something like that.
That's unstable.
They just had they were just purchased by a new owner, but they recently had a Star Wars night. The Dallas Stars have had Star Wars nights around here. The Mavericks have. And so you see it all over the place. And I always intend to go to those things. Right. But they put that on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday night to try and draw in the fans for, a team they may not be getting a big draw, visiting team that may not get a big draw. So it doesn't always work out with the schedule.
Yeah, I might try and make the Rangers this time around. I might have an in to getting some seats. So I'll see how that pans out. But I've got some fun Cowboys Star Wars crossover stickers that I found this year. And you remember that big flag I had when I thought that they were going to go farther into the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah. It's basically the Cowboy star with the, the power of the Cowboys. Yeah.
Now we aren't endorsed by them, but if you are not so inclined to make your own mashup gear, Fanatics.com, I believe, has some collegiate stuff that, they mash up some of the Star Wars stuff with the university things. So, if you're a fan of a college team, you can check there.
Well, we call the AT&T Stadium too around here, right?
I know what you call it. Yes.
The Death Star.
Right. Well, thanks, Matt Rezakai. That was another fantastic email.
Yeah,
We always
thanks a lot,
enjoy
man.
getting one for you.
Well, after that, we've actually got some a reply back from somebody who attended Fan Expo Dallas. So
Excellent.
Let's see what the common man has to say about that, Dennis. Not that he's common, but he is a man. I'm just saying. Okay.
He's not a Dark Lord of the Sith. We get it.
There we go. Okay. So he starts out and says, "My wife and I were only able to attend Saturday. So we arrived about 9:30 and browsed for a little while. The vendors had amazing stuff, so we had to stock up on toys for our 4-year-old daughter. That was cool. We hope to take her next year. She would love it. She already watches Empire from beginning to end and is a fan of TFA. After a pretty long wait in the photo op line, we finally went behind the curtain to take our photo with Mark Hamill. It was so cool. He had his dogs in there with him and was taking funny pictures with everyone. I shook his hand. My wife, Natalie, hugged him. I told him it was an honor to meet him. The flash went off, and then we were shuffled out. Now, this is my first convention of this size, and while it was amazing to meet Mark, it felt so rushed. And while I have had great professional picture to cherish, I wondered how much more time we would have had at the autograph table. Next, I got to meet some of my comic book heroes, Michael Zeck, Adam Kubert, Tom King, and got signatures on some old and not so old comics. Then at 2:45, we had our photo op with Katie Sackhoff. Again, it was awesome, but very rushed. We decided to go stand in line to get her autograph and found that we were able to actually talk with her, and we got a great selfie with her at the signing table. That's cool. Way more personal and satisfying. After that, we tried to get in line to meet Batman legends Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, but the line had been capped, so we left about 6 p.m. We will definitely go back next year, and I think we'll just try to do more autographs instead of photo ops. It is a much more personal experience. Can't wait for the guests to be named at Dallas Fan Days in October. Sorry to be long-winded. No problem. You can summarize, edit, or cut out whatever you like if you want to get or use it in the show. Right? Sorry to miss you, Taxus. I loved the signed K2 figure you got. Thanks, guys. Brian Johnson. Yeah, Brian. I'm sorry too, man. I kept trying to make my way over there, but just Saturday was just insane,
Yeah. Well, he got to meet Mark Hamill. I don't care how brief that was. That's pretty honest.
That is
pretty
cool.
awesome, I should say. I mean, that line was always insanely long. And, as much as I wanted to meet Mark, I just couldn't do it. It was, with as many things I was trying to get covered that day, it just wasn't going to happen. Yeah. But I'm really excited for anyone who braved the line and got to meet him. That is that's going to be a cherished memory, no matter how brief it was.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, thanks for the email, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. That was fantastic. All right. Well, Scoundrels, in show 27, we're going to be celebrating 1 year of Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels. So we would love to hear from you on our anniversary. You can send us an email if you want to record something on an MP3. Please keep it to a minute or so and send it to us. That'd be fantastic. Of course, we'd appreciate iTunes reviews. But again, email is our big thing on Silence Fools. So, what were your favorites of the show from the past year? What are you looking forward to from us in the next year? Let us know, and send those emails and any voice recordings to sqpod@retrozap.com.
Yeah, maybe also things you just think we should never do again. How about that?
Indeed. Man, I can't believe Celebration is this week. It seems like we've been talking about this for a year now.
Yeah, we've had it in our sights for a while. Glad you're finally pulling the trigger.
Me too. Well, Scoundrels, thank you for listening and your support. If you've enjoyed the show, this has been Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels, and we'd love a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, especially iTunes. And with our 1 year anniversary coming up, just a reminder, we would love to have some fresh reviews to read on episode 27. If you didn't care for this, well, then this isn't the podcast you're looking for. Move along. In all seriousness, we appreciate it anytime you share our show posts on Twitter and Facebook. Please let others know that you are listening. Thanks to our dedicated listeners that take the time to share our show with others. We are also on social media. Starship, Sabers, and Scoundrels can be followed on Twitter at SQPod and liked on Facebook, where we are facebook.com/SQPod. If you want to follow Darth Taxus on Twitter, he is at Darth Taxus, and I can be followed at DJKVER2. Make sure to check out the Retro Zap group on Facebook too. I'm an administrator there, and I'll hook you up. In addition to social media, you can reach us at sqpod@retrozap.com. Are you going to Celebration or are you staying home? What do you hope to hear out of Celebration this week? Have anything else that's on your mind? Let us know. The best emails, which is all the emails, end up in Sans Fools. Again, that email address is sqpod@retrozap.com.
As always, we are honored to be part of the retrozap.com podcast network. Please check out RetroZap for other great shows, including Brews and Blasters, The ArgCast, The Deucecast Movie Show, Dunecast, Skywalking Through Neverland, Classic Marvel Comics, Talking Apes TV, Techno Retro Dads, The Trade Federation, We Know Nothing, The Animanicast, Beltway Banthas, The Sandcrawler, and Knodis Castle.
A special thanks to Aaron Lay for our show logos and to James Volpe, the Ska Geek, for the good, the bad, and the ugly show logo. And another very special thanks to Dana Cobb and Jennifer Kunzer at Fan Expo Dallas for our media credentials for Fan Expo Dallas 2017. And here is our disclaimer. Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels is not endorsed, affiliated with, or sponsored by Lucasfilm Limited and or Disney. This show is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. All characters, music, and sounds are the intellectual property of their respective copyright holders. All else is the intellectual property of Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels unless otherwise indicated. Whew. All right, that's show 26. You got any final thoughts, Taxus?
Yeah, I think I perfected my celebrity photo and autograph call. You want to hear it?
Sure, why not? Well, that's going to do it then for this episode of Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels. As always, thanks for listening and joining us this week. We'll catch up with you next time, and may the Force be with you.
Cash only, please.
I won't get to get what I'm after till the day I die.
So, like halfway, like with the first couple months, I'm like, God, I'm a droid. I'm a droid in a Star Wars movie. This is really cool. But so I eased into it. I was kind of distracted and just having a good time before I realized what it was. I like that.